So I'm a stocks guy, because I've had two properties now. Um, and I think it's the saying, and I guess it's with stocks as well, but with real estate, I think a lot of people just have the notion of, oh, I own a property and that's it. It's just going to go to the moon. And it's not. Like whenever you buy any property, you got to look at the cost of ownership. You got to look at the location. You got to look at, is it cheaper to actually rent than versus own? You know, because I guess the first venture I went into was I bought a condo in Austin, Texas.
Before it was Austin, before what it is
Yeah,
today.
before what it is now, you know. And I went there on a visit because I actually got a job offer down there. And I saw the potential, and I saw that, you know, Tesla was going to build a factory out there. Apple was also going to build $1 billion campus. So I saw that ahead of time, and I saw, okay, I can see what this is. And also coming from New York, where, you know, certain lifestyle, you look at the certain rent, I'm like, oh, this is super cheap to own down here. I could buy a condo right downtown. And the condos in the South in general are all going to give you a pool, a dog park, a yoga studio, a
concierge.
gym. Yeah, this is kind of normal. When you go to the South and you live downtown, this is normal. But for me, I'm just looking at it with a New York lens. I said, oh, this is super cheap, without doing the due diligence of, is it cheaper to own it or cheaper to rent it? You know. Right. It was actually cheaper to just rent it out than to own it. And not that I took a loss. Eventually, I made money on it, but it wasn't worth the headache. It wasn't worth the headache of getting the upfront money for the down payment. Also, I've experienced everything you can with just, if you own a condo, all your eggs are in one basket. So I've had everything from a tenant die on me to, no, seriously, tenant die on me to someone just says, hey, I want to leave early, break the lease, and like, you know, expect not to pay out the lease or anything like that, or any penalties. I've had someone lose their job and like, hey, I can't pay you. So I've had every situation with that property that I'm like, yeah, I see why people talk about now getting multi-family homes. Because then it kind of offsets the risk.
Right, because it's a single family home at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're dependent on that one tenant to just be perfect, you know? So.
Which, again, like my dad's in the real estate business. He's a landlord. He manages his properties. And look, he'll be the first one to tell me like, oh, you should be buying, blah, blah, blah. But I think like now he's starting to come around. Like this is not the same market he bought when he bought in the George Bush era when they were giving 100%. They were giving away homes.
They're giving them away.
120. You want money out? Day one, here you go. You got them too, right? And that's what caused the bubble. Yeah. And that allowed a lot of people to that allowed a lot of people who otherwise in any other point in history would not be able to have owned the home, but allowed them access to the real estate market. Mm-hmm. And it caused a lot of defaults, right? To a lot of people who couldn't afford them in the first place. But homes are so expensive now. And like, you and I make good money and it's still tough for people in our range. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't imagine people who are just like working class Americans in New York. Forget about that. You're barely paying rent, right? So I think that, and real estate is not a passive business. It's not passive income. Yeah. It's an active business that you have to actively manage all the time when it comes to tenancy, communication, managing the property. If the damn boiler breaks, if anything breaks, right? You're the landlord. You got to fix it. So stocks don't do that to me. Stocks, they just give me dividends, returns, and it's a boring. The more boring the asset class, generally the better it is for generating long-term wealth.
Yeah, right. But it's a slow growth.
It's slow, right?
It's not quick.
It's like, what is
and it's not a one-time deposit, and then you're going to be...
No, you got to continue. No, you got to continue.
Consistency.
It teaches you a lot. What do they say? The first 10... I was talking to my brother about this the other day. That first $10,000 that you have to save is a bitch. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it teaches you like, damn, this is all me, and I have to save this 10 grand. Then going from 10 to 100K, that's another bitch, because you're like, there's almost no compounding growth there. Yeah. And then going from like 100K to 500K, 500K to a million plus, you don't really see the compounding effects until you get into the seven figures. Then you're like, oh, okay. this is cool. Like I was like, oh, I just made 70K in a day.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
2-3%. You like
that 2-3% on a large amount of money is still pretty good. 10% on 100K is $10,000.
Yeah.
10% on $10 million is $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's a year you could make $1 million passively without you thinking about it, right? And over the life of the S&P, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice at all. But just the S&P historically, if you go look at it, this is all publicly available. It's grown 10 to 11% a year over year. Obviously, you have the years that are way up, like in the recession, and way down, like in the Great Depression. Putting those aside, it's 10 to 11% a year. Real estate does not grow 10 to 11% a year. And it's an illiquid asset class because you have to then refinance it. You can't sell it right away. It's not just money in, money out. It's the cost of ownership, property insurance, mortgages, repairs that you have to put on. You also have to take into account the cost of inflation, right? Because $1 yesterday is not $1 today. So there's a whole bunch of calculations to actually see what the real dollars are from a real estate investment versus a thing like stocks. And if you're in a relatively low cost index fund that follows the S&P 500, you're not going to spend nearly as much there as you would in real estate. With that being said, if you find a good opportunity to buy real estate where you're making cash and cash over cash or returns on your investments over a certain threshold, definitely jump into it. Right? But just know it's not a passive investment.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's appealing for people with real estate is you're kind of, you're making money on, not on what you invested, but I guess with the
on leverage.
Yeah, you're leveraging.
It's like an LBO in private equity. Like you're basically putting up the house as collateral.
Yep.
You're putting a small amount of money in, right? You're just throwing in 5-10%, whatever it may be, the FHA stuff, right? And then you're buying the property based upon leverage. If you buy other people's rent money, your tenants' money, it's going into your pocket to pay an asset, to pay for the debt that you didn't have to put your own money in. That's great.
Yeah.
The problem becomes when they stop paying you and you are depending on that rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, if you could get a great opportunity and if just stars align and all that, great tenancy and all that, it's perfect. It's a perfect way to leverage your money and to grow it quickly in that sense.